Hi everybody, it's Karen. Somebody has asked me to use my Regal split ribbon to make a custom tumbler for her. Actually, it's for her sister. And what I've done is I've created a file with her name. And I used the Cantoni Pro Bold font to do it. I'm going to show you exactly what I do to take the files, put them together, and then create the design for the tumbler. First thing I'm going to do is open up the split ribbon file, which is called Split Regal Ribbon. Once I've done that, I'm just going to open up the name that I used. I created it in Illustrator to get the swashes, and then I've now saved it in Studio 3 format. So there's the name, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this and then paste it onto the ribbon. I'm going to paste in front, and I'm going to move it into place where I want it on the ribbon. Now you could take this and center it, but I'm going to show you what happens if you center it. It's not going to be exactly right. To do that, I need to use the Align option, and I'll align the center. Okay, so that is aligned from this point of the name to this point over here. And you're going to see that the amount of space here to the end is about 3 inches. And from here to the end is about 3 inches. But it doesn't look centered. And that's because this letter, the L, looks like it's the center of the word. And the bulk of the name is in this area. It's not including this part. So you need to eyeball this and move it over so that the bulk of the name is between here and here. And the only way you can really do this is to eyeball it until it looks okay to you. So you see now this L is lining up with the center of this area. It looks much more centered now. And you can move this up or down, and by using a high contrast in a different color, or I should say, using a different color with a high contrast to the ribbon is going to make this really stand out nicely. So this is centered the way I like it now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to group this just to resize it. And I'm going to measure my tumbler. And it looks like 4 or 4.5 inches will work well for this. I'm just going to double check that again. Yeah, 4.5 inches will work well. So I'm going to go over to my scale button, or my scale window, I should say, and I want to make sure that lock aspect is checked, and then I'm going to type in 4.5 inches for the height. Then I'll click apply, and that is the size I'm going to need to cut. So I'm going to move this over to here on my mat. I'm going to ungroup this, and I'm going to move the word Evelyn over to the right over here, because I'll be cutting that from a different color. So obviously, because these are colored pink and black doesn't mean that they will cut in pink and black. You need to put the vinyl on the mat in the color that you want to cut. You could put green for your ribbon and purple for your name, whatever. I just have them set up as pink and black because that's what I'm going to cut them anyway. If you want a reminder of what color you want to use, select the item, then click the paint bucket or the color fill window. And for example, if you want to make this green, just click green, and then that'll be your reminder. I'll go back to my pink, and now I'm ready to cut. I'm going to check my cut settings, which is over here. Now, since these are SVG files that I've imported, I need to set my cut lines. You see right now there's no bright red line around either of these images because there is no cut line set. So click this. And now you're going to, whoops, first you have to select the items, of course, and then click the cut option. And now you see that there's a bright red line around all these, around the images where you're going to be cutting. Then I want to make sure that this is set on vinyl. Right now it's on copy paper, so there we go, vinyl. And with my machine, I find that a thickness of 7 works better. If you're finding that when you cut vinyl, little bits are being picked up that shouldn't be or whatever, you can change the thickness here to make it a little less pressure on the blade when it's cutting on the vinyl. So I'm going to place my vinyl on my mat, and then I'll cut those out. Vinyl without a mat, but I really do prefer to use a mat. You do need a mat if you want to cut scraps, smaller pieces like this, but even when I'm cutting full pieces, I prefer to use a mat. It's just more consistent. When you're working with really intricate designs, it can be a whole lot easier to use a reverse weeding technique. And when you do that, what you want to do first of all is make sure that you're cutting the excess vinyl very close to your design. You're going to want to use a piece of transfer tape that's larger than your design so that you're able to tape it down onto your work surface. So I'm just doing that, cutting around the edges of my design. Looking carefully, making sure I'm not cutting into the design, of course. Okay. And then I will take my transfer tape. I'm going to make sure that it's larger than my piece. And I'll put it down onto the face side of the vinyl, onto the colored side, making sure you see that my transfer tape is larger than my vinyl. And I press down in the middle first and then push out to the sides. Then what I do is I take a scraper to make sure that's really burnished well. You can use an old credit card, whatever other tool you might have, and then pull it up. And you're going to want to turn it on this side and I use some fairly strong masking tape to hold it down because I find that it does start to lift up. If you don't use tape, it can be very hard to work with because, of course, your transfer tape is sticky on this side. So there. And I'll take down this side as well. And I'm just going to make sure that those corners are taped down well. Start working on this, and then what I do is I pull away the backing paper. Just pull it away, and you've got your whole piece there now. And then, looking carefully at it, I start to pull away from the corner. It is harder to pull away than the traditional method, but none of your pieces are going to be shifted around, and you're not going to lose pieces along the way. It's much easier to do this when you have an intricate design that you're working with, or small, tiny details, tiny letters. Okay. Next is the name. And again, I'll use a piece that's just slightly larger than my design. weighted perfectly. And you'll see that when I turn the design over. With the clear tape, it's nice because you can see what you're doing. And then I like to start from the middle. So I push it down in the middle and get that middle in place nicely and work my way out. I never have problems putting things on round surfaces this way. You'll see this is going to curl up, but that's not a problem because your vinyl is down. And there. So now just push it down, burnish it really well with my fingers, and I'll be able to pull it away. There we go. Might have a couple of little bubbles here and there. You can try to push those out with your finger, but they will mostly disappear over time. This is just on the edge here. I really have no bubbles in here. The very edge. I'm just pushing that out. You see how nicely that is sitting there. So it's not burnished so well. So it needs a little bit more to convince it to stay. And I'm going to start to work from over here. And there we go. Lined up really nicely.